Hello and welcome to Tennessee Court Talk. I'm Samantha Fisher, Communications Director and your host. Today we're breaking down the latest threats, hacks, and risks in the world of cybersecurity. It happens to be Cybersecurity Awareness Month as we record this episode, but protecting yourself, your agency, your business online, that is a constant all year round. We are diving in with our expert tech team here at the Administrative Office of the Courts, Brandon Bowers, our Chief Technology Officer, and Chris Gill, our Security Administrator. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I know because I get that email prompt every year to go through the cybersecurity training that this is an ongoing, changing sort of target that we have to constantly adjust to in order to keep from being victims of spam and phishing and threats like that. Can you just start off by talking about what sort of the current landscape is in cybersecurity?
AI is really changing the game. It's really causing people who didn't have a lot of tools to really up their game with how these attacks look, how phishing looks. The deception is at really an increasingly, it's changing everything quickly, like month to month. And it's a constant adjustment to identify and target what they're going after.
Chris, I feel like I'm seeing this in my personal email inbox. Can you give us some examples of how you're seeing AI change the landscape?
Absolutely. I mean, I can get way down in the weeds with this, so please don't stop me if you need to. But we see things like a compromised account from a known person emailing someone, which seems to be an off-the-cuff remark. The other day I saw it looked like an athletic director at a high school. His email had been compromised, and he was emailing everyone a fake invitation, which really wasn't an invitation. But it's a trusted guy. Obviously, the person the email account I was dealing with knew this person. They had their email as a contact. They send this, what appears to be just an invitation, an evite. But if you clicked on the evite, it was not an evite. It was something malicious and nefarious behind that link, which was blocked by our security tools. But nevertheless, it's not just even trusting the people you know at face value to send you communications.
Yeah, it's shockingly clever and personalized.
It is.
Yeah, it really seems like they know what you've been talking about, they know what you've been researching, and it's really easy to fall for these, I guess you call them phishing attacks, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The level of sophistication has definitely increased over the last few months. And it's interesting how much information is publicly available to help with that process in terms of how the sophistication of those attacks or attempts are manifesting.
So, Brandon, tell me more about this. I know that, when we're talking about cybersecurity, there's so much out there, but it seems like we try to break it down into a few different pillars. And one of them is multi-factor authentication. And this is one of those things I think, and I will admit, I feel the same way sometimes. It can be kind of annoying to have to
Absolutely
go through more than one door, essentially, to do what you need to do at work.
It definitely can be annoying. But one of the keys I think to remember is that it's really about levels of protection. If you think about your home, you have typically more than one lock. You have more than one mechanism that you use to try to feel safe and protect your valuables, your loved ones. Multi-factor authentication is another layer of protection that helps us have multiple ways to authenticate and validate who you are, who you say that you are. And so while it can be annoying, especially in environments where you've not had to use them, but when you think about it, it's become more and more commonplace. You think about your banking apps, you think about your streaming apps. Most applications now, you have to do at least 2 forms of authentication and sometimes more.
Do I dare go into passwords? Because I know this is like a sensitive subject for folks, and putting together a strong password, it's hard to remember them, characters, numbers, special characters.
The industry is kind of changing a little in that it's leaning more into the MFA and more into the refresh of the MFA and less on the password, because passwords are more easily stolen, whereas it's much harder to emulate your multi-factor app on your phone, or receiving the text message, or having a YubiKey or some kind of physical device. The guidance is at this point to have a very long password that's like phrases, random words put together, potentially not necessarily complexity, but the longer the better. We adhere to more of a traditional internally, which is tried and true as well. So it's more important that you have a long password than a super complex password at this point.
Okay, if you have both. Chris, do you have any tips or tricks for creating that long phrased password?
There are some websites. There's a lot of tools out there. There's password apps. Apple has one that's built in, depending on what iOS you're using. And I think at iOS 18 they moved into a actual password app instead of the embedded inside. And a lot of people say that's a good solution. I'm not advocating for people to keep work passwords in their personal devices. However, it's much better than a sticky note under your keyboard that contains it. So
absolutely. I can't tell you over the years how many times in a support role, we see information in places that you would prefer it not be around someone's workstation.
Sure, you go up to help remedy or troubleshoot a problem on somebody's computer, and there's the password sitting right there on the screen.
Right.
You've been to my office lately?
I'm
kidding, Brandon. I didn't do that. I promise. I've been following the rules. All right, so multi-factor authentication, strong passwords, and then this is really tough anymore, and we just touched on it earlier in our conversation, but recognizing and reporting phishing with a PH.
I'll let Chris talk about some of the things that we've done, but here we run phishing campaigns for the judicial users across the state, and the information or the results they're always interesting. When we had a different email system in the past, it was a little more complicated to get results and to understand the true impact. But now that we've moved to the products we use today, it's easier to see when there's an issue with phishing. Those campaigns help us really identify what groups of users that we need to target and help us build trainings around how to combat that.
I've got a question about phishing, because sometimes I'll see in my inbox, either my personal inbox or my work, a subject line that looks like it could be something I need to pay attention to, and so I will read it. At what point are you in trouble? Like, is even reading it bad, or is it something that you click on within the phishing email itself?
Likely, there's some debate about this, but likely if you have opened something that dangerous and you don't have something to stop whatever it's doing, you're sort of already in trouble. I think at this point it's hard not to review a lot of the emails in better detail as in open them, unless they're obvious. If whatever email system you're using has flagged the email as dangerous or suspicious, it's worth really trying to understand why it thinks that. In a lot of email systems like Microsoft, that can be based on reputation across the entire solution. So it goes back to that thing where I was saying, even though you trust the person, if you weren't expecting an email from them, then you need to be suspicious about the email. And it doesn't mean you're being suspicious about the person, just where did this come from, and why are they sending it? Particularly if it's got an embedded link asking you to go someplace else.
Yeah.
And if the email has, for us, if the email has a password, like I saw one the other day that said something like, you haven't reviewed this document yet, I need to give feedback on this soon, the password's fall 2025, please review it. And when you click the attached PDF, there was a password, which was that one. Seemed really casual, but the purpose of it was they had password protected the document to stop our tools from digging into what was going on there. Mm-hmm. So, and I think behind it was a QR code. So, just being really cognizant of alarming language that's telling you have to do something quickly, mm-hmm. And reacting, taking a deep breath and reacting. And also, like if you get an email from Amazon that says they can't deliver a package, go to Amazon. Don't use the link in the email.
Right.
Go to Amazon, log in, see what your package status is, what your payment status is. It's all going to be there. Don't depend on the links if it looks suspicious. Or likewise, if you get a phone call, that's called vishing is the term for that. And it's the courthouse saying, "Oh, you didn't show up for jury duty. I need a $500 now, or I'm sending the sheriff to arrest you."
Yeah.
Like, call the courthouse back and ask. Like, turn it around. Don't just take that direction in that moment as it is, because it's designed to scare you into not weighing your options.
And I'll add to what Chris is stating. I think the element of convenience is what gets us a lot of times too. What Chris is saying is go to the source, where if you go to the originating source of what that communication or whatever is saying that they're trying to get you to do, you go to that source, you take away that element of convenience. That helps out your IT folks quite a bit.
Let's talk a little bit about updating software. A lot of us are hybrid working. We go back and forth from the office to the home office. Sometimes you just forget to turn your computer off and do that process of letting the software update.
Yeah, that's one of the keys in any scenario that is always going to be helpful. The updates are there to help us help ourselves. So yes, it can be inconvenient. It comes at different times. If you're like me, you have multiple windows open. So if you have to restart your workstation, that's not fun to get back to that working point where you're stopping. But the key there is just to remember that updating our workstations against the most current threats that are known, that just helps us.
Brandon and Chris, thank you so much for joining us for this episode on cybersecurity. Any parting thoughts? And also, is there a good place for folks to educate themselves, to find resources on cybersecurity?
There's a lot of, CISA is a great site to go to. There's a lot of NIST standards. There's a lot of good information out there. You just want a reliable source. Microsoft is a good resource. I would kind of stay away from a lot of the information on potentially social media. A lot of that seems like it's its own version of clickbait to scare you. So I would vet whatever you're using, but there's so much information out there. And also, you need to look at when it's published, because the information from 2020 is a very different world from what 2026 will be. So I always add a year in as I'm searching for information to see.
And I think my parting thought would be just a reminder that it's not just your IT and system administrators and those types of folks' role to help keep the environment safe. I think we all have a part to play. And so to the point about the pillars that we've spoken on, we all have a role there, and we're only going to be as strong as our weakest link. And we don't want anyone, to be that weak link.
Understood. Yeah. Cybersecurity, everyone's responsibility, as they say in the training, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Thank you both for your time and expertise.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.